Hey guys, welcome back and happy Thursday. All right, guys, well, we're back to talk about Bethenny Frankel from the Real Housewives of New York because we've all wondered why. What was the catalyst for her leaving the show? What happened? Because it's always been hearsay, but she's never really addressed it. We didn't know, or is she not getting offered enough money? Was there something in the contract? Or was the rumor true that she wanted to be an executive producer on the show, which no housewife has ever been? So we do have the answers now because she's finally addressing them. Thank you to Reality Blurb. So before we jump in, if you guys haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And with that, let's jump right in.
It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
All right, guys, so it looks like Bethenny Frankel is finally opening up about her exit ahead of season 12 of The Real Housewives of New York, and she did it on her TikTok account. Now, she was talking about it and why she did not return, because again, everyone's been speculating, and it's just been a rumor mill, really. No one has actually heard from her as to why she didn't come back. She did, however, say at one point that Bravo has been knocking on her door, wanting her to join this legacy series, but she doesn't think that they could afford what kind of, paycheck she would be requesting. At one point, she was one of the highest paid housewives, along with Nene Leakes, Kandi Burruss, LVP. There was like a group of them. Now, I think that Bravo's changed that a little bit because they fired so many of the OGs moving forward. And I think what happened was they started giving them these massive pay increases, but then the ratings weren't matching, so they couldn't justify the pay increases that they were giving. So what happens is they start paying them more, but the ratings are starting to drop, so it doesn't necessarily make sense. The margins aren't adding up, but then they can't go back and say, you know what, Kandi Burruss, we paid you $2.4 million last season, but the budget doesn't really permit, so we're going to pay you $1.2 million this season. She would be like, no, I'm walking away. So they can't do that with future housewives or the housewives that they're bringing on now. What I'm guessing is that the pay increases now would be significantly less. Like even Leah McSweeney last season, she sat there and debated her contract because she was getting paid less than $100,000 for her first season. She's like, no, wait a minute, I'm worth more than that. And they were like, no, we're going to nickel and dime you, till eventually they finally came to an agreement and they brought her back on the show. Getting back to Bethenny Frankel, she said, people thought that I left the housewives because of money. If I had stayed, it wouldn't have been because of the money. I left because I wanted to leave. I was ready to leave, and I used a technicality deal point as my excuse. Now, wondering what the technicality deal point was, well, she did say when she was filming one of her last seasons that she lost her ex, Dennis Shields. Obviously, we know that she lost him to an overdose. And she said, even when she lost him, she still showed up to every scene to film, even when she didn't want to. Because when it comes to work for Bethenny Frankel, she said she always shows up. Even if you guys remember that time that she was walking in Home Goods and she had to go to the hospital, she was still filming and she wasn't feeling great. There was another time where she was sick and she said that she was like bleeding on the hospital bed. But then we see her filming in her car because she didn't say no. She also said, I just lost someone very close to me. And when I went to work when the show came back, and I didn't want to. Pros play hurt. I'm a professional. I show up on time. I deliver. And that's my reputation in business. She then pointed out that because some of the other Real Housewives cast members in other cities refuse to film because they don't like other people or they're at odds, with their co-stars, a new point was put into the women's contracts that stated if they didn't appear in an episode, they would not be paid for it. Right away, Bethenny said that was a deal breaker for me. It doesn't make sense for me because I already knew that, the production company said, we'll never air an episode without you. They told me that directly and I have receipts. And I already knew that I'm professional and that there would just be no situation where I wouldn't show up for work. But sometimes these little things, if you're thinking of leaving, you don't want to be there. I'm the type of person that one thing will give me an excuse. So I said no. She also said this was an excuse. And then the powers that be told her, we would have changed it for you. But every little thing matters to her. She's pointing this out and she said, I don't bluff when it comes to my business, or if I say something, this is my stance, I'm making it known. She said, I was just looking for a reason, and that was a good reason. I knew that I showed up for work every single day, and when I experienced a tremendous loss, so obviously I still showed up. I'm a good, person to work with because I'm always going to show up for work every single day under any circumstance. There can be no more extreme circumstances than that. The little tiny minute detail that, would have never came to pass, it was impetus, and that was the catalyst that just said, boom, I'm not going back. So for her too, she's pointing out, listen, even though that they would have changed it, that was an easy way for me to say, I'm out, I'm good. But also, I understand, and I have a different kind of theory here. I understand that Bravo was like, if you guys don't show up, then we're not paying you for that episode. That makes sense, yes. But it also makes me wonder if that's a way to kind of take down some of the women's pay. So let's say Candy Burris is one of the highest paid housewives. Say she's filming the entire season, but they're like, you know what? We need to cut budget costs somewhere. So episode 11 and episode 14, we're going to take her out. And that way we save a couple $100,000. That could happen. So I wouldn't want this in my contract either. We know that personally, I know for some of the Vanderpump Rules cast members, some of them were paid a huge salary for their contract for the season. And some of them, it was almost like a demotion where they would get paid episodically. And for the housewives, I'm guessing they completely changed the contracts where it's total episodic. You get paid per episode. If you don't show up in an episode, we're not paying you. For example, one of Lisa Rinna's last episodes on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she did a confessional, but she wasn't actually there because she was visiting with Harry, I wanted to say Styles. She loves Harry Styles too, but Harry Hamlin. And when she was visiting with him, we didn't really see her except for the confessionals and photos that popped up. But I do wonder, does that count as being featured in an episode if you didn't actually have to show up in film, or no, because that's a confessional? I feel like these details do matter. I get what Bethenny Frankel's saying. I would love to get my hands on a housewives contract and kind of see a little bit more in detail what these mean. Guys, I want to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think that this was a great reason for Bethenny Frankel to leave The Real Housewives of New York? And are you surprised that she's finally putting the rumors to bed about the EP credit, saying, I didn't need an EP credit. I left because it became episodic, not a contract that has a set salary for the whole season. I'm not really shocked. I think she was over it anyways. So go ahead, comment below. And before you go, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Love you.